Oh, hi, Professor Jeffers.
Hey. Glad that you're here.
Oh, me too. My house and all that. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Just been getting ready for doing a ghost episode with
Oh,
the ghost questions that we promised for the last episode. But yeah.
yeah. I got a ghost question.
Okay, good. I see a couple of them there. All right.
Yeah, well, I have a couple questions. One of them's ghost related. You ready to get started?
Yeah, I'm ready if you are.
Well, you want to do the thing?
Sure. Hello. Welcome to Cryptid Remarks. I'm Professor Edward Jeffers.
And I'm Wilma Chronicle.
And we're finally going to come through on our promise to do a question about ghosts. That's one of the questions that we have today. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. Well, go ahead and read the question then.
Okay. Question is from Jennifer, she, her. What is the relationship between cryptids and ghosts?
Ah, yes. Okay. So that's actually a pretty broad question about ghosts, but we'll try to get into that. Well, first of all, I do want to state for the record here, and I may have mentioned it last time, but I am not a parapsychologist. Now, a parapsychologist is someone that studies paranormal phenomena, ghosts, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I would be more of a cryptozoologist, although I'm not really. A cryptozoologist is a person that studies cryptids, and I more hang out with cryptids than study them, although I do know a lot about them. But I do know enough about spirits to know enough to do a comparison. Now,
Okay. What you got?
well, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
looking back at the history of spirits, there are bits of evidence that point to spirits being around as early as 70,000 BCE, which is way back in the Middle Paleolithic era.
Okay. How is that known?
Well, because of cave art. And this was in the Sudilo Hills in the Kalahari Desert.
Oh.
And basically, it was a bear cult back in that time that would use bear sacrifices to worship spirits and that sort of thing.
And they got that from cave paintings?
Yes, now there are people that deny that this proves anything and that it might just be cave art. But spirits have been around for that long as there have been creatures with any level of sentience to be able to perceive them.
Yeah, I mean,
possibly earlier.
and that's also, the long debate about whether or not you're actually seeing a spirit or if you're just mind playing tricks on you kind of situation.
Well, yeah, that's true. And there are arguments that there is evidence either way for that.
Sure.
But there are cultures that still worship spirits today. There's Shinto in Japan, the Togo cultures. They're in Africa. I do not remember where. I'm sorry about that. Tribes in North America still worship spirits. Bali, the Hindus in the Bali, they have a spirit deity. And
I believe there's some spirits in voodoo as well.
yes. And the Jomon period in Japan, that runs 1400 to 300 BCE, I believe. They had a lot of names for spirits. Not something that I've studied too extensively myself, but I did run across a page on Wikipedia, that completely reliable source of all knowledge and everything.
Completely
Yes,
reliable,
that
yeah.
had a list of different names the Japanese have for spirits, which if you're interested in, I'd say go ahead and look that up.
Absolutely.
Around 2000 or so BCE, there were mentions of it in ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia.
Sure.
And there's an interesting book that's kind of divided up into little sub books that someone went to the trouble to annotate it very extensively. So if you go to the part of it that is Deuteronomy 18:11 and then 1 Samuel 28 3 to 19, there's actually references in that book about spirits, and the one in the First Samuel has a little kind of story about it.
So the book you're referring to being the Bible.
Oh, yeah, probably, yes.
Yeah, some of those would actually be also in the Torah/Tanakh, which is the bits of the book that also are sort of the Jewish side of the, Christian, And I am probably the Quran. I haven't read the Quran, so I don't know. But if you're dealing with Judeo-Christian, the Abraham religions, then the book that you're referring to, I think most of that stuff is in all three of them.
Okay.
Anyway,
Probably,
yes. The Bible, since that's the one I'm a little more familiar with, does have several references to spirits in it.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, I mean, if you have access to a Bible, you can look and find that pretty easily.
It's
since
still the number one selling book on the planet, so it should be pretty easy to find.
Really? That's a really old book.
It is a really old book.
Oh, now there is a certain level of speculation that basically cryptids and ghosts are the same thing.
Well, I think you pretty much put them in the same category yourself.
Well, there's a difference. Well, my thought is that not all cryptids are ghosts, but all ghosts are cryptids. Now, there are people that don't see it that way, though, and their reasoning behind that is that people give all this evidence that they've seen cryptids and taken pictures and everything like that, and then when people go out and actually look for the cryptid, there is no sign of them.
Right.
Now, Nessie is a perfect example of this. Mm-hmm. We've talked about the fact that there are pictures of Nessie out there, even film, and yet when they go and do DNA tests in the loch, they can't find anything.
Right.
Now, my personal belief on that is that Nessie's just far too clever for them, but there are people that say, well, that's because Nessie's actually just a spirit, not a flesh and blood being.
Oh, interesting. I hadn't heard that.
I do think that's interesting. I also think it's just a theory, and since I have spent time with Nessie, she seemed flesh and blood to me. Spirits, from what I understand, are non-corporeal, and you shouldn't be able to touch them.
Well, I mean, just going off your last recording, when I wasn't here. But yeah. The non-corporealness of it is kind of arbitrary, isn't it? Because it did feel like you hit something, but there was no evidence of it.
That is an interesting point. I may have to give some thought to that. Anyway, there are a lot of theories about how ghosts appear, and ghosts are only one type of spectral cryptid.
Sure. There's poltergeists and various and sundry things.
Now that you mention it, this is a good time to mention this. There are two types of ghosts, essentially. There are apparitions, and those are ghosts that people see.
Okay.
And then there are poltergeists, which are ones that affect the environment but aren't necessarily seen.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
I mean, if you've ever seen the documentary The Poltergeist, it really does kind of show you how a poltergeist can affect its surroundings.
Yeah, and again, that's just a movie. It's fiction.
I really need to pay closer attention to the media I absorb, I think.
Indeed. Yes. But it is a good movie. I'll give you that.
I mean, yeah. Anyway, the main theory behind how ghosts are created is that someone has a tragic death or die in such a way that they have issues with passing on.
Okay.
And there are certain areas that tend to be more susceptible to spirits hanging around. Now, those are usually like cemeteries, partially because that's where the bodies of dead people are kept, and then old buildings as well, especially ones where a lot of tragedy has occurred.
Well, there's also, sort of geographical locations, like Red Rock Canyon, for example, I've heard is sort of attuned to the spirit area.
True.
Sort of. I haven't been there myself. It's just something I've heard.
Yeah, and areas where large battles have happened, like,
gotcha.
There are a few areas from the American Civil War that have stories about ghosts being seen in those areas and affecting things and hearing voices that sound like there are people around when there are not. And I
think the site at Wounded Knee also is really popular with
that. Wouldn't surprise me at all. There was a lot of tragedy there.
Indeed.
That's where a lot of spirits feel tied to because that's where they died.
Mm-hmm.
And ghosts are not the only type of spectral cryptid. For example, there are the red ghosts, which are seen in the American Southwest.
The red ghosts?
Okay, yes, the red ghosts. Now, what those are is sightings that people have of camels.
In the American Southwest.
Well, yes, because early on, camels actually were a part of the development of this particular country.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Some of them were kind of released in the Southwest. And then, of course, camels died there. But
yes.
What a red ghost is people see something that looks like kind of a demonic-looking camel with a dead human tied to its back. Tied to its back.
Ugh.
Yes. Now, that is definitely something that you might hallucinate if you're in a desert and very...
I mean, yeah. I mean, and then I'm just wondering at the implications of the human being tied to the camel. So is it retribution from the camels? Is it, somebody just irritated that they were introduced to the ecosystem? Is it... it's just okay, tied to a camel. Ouch.
Right. And it's a little unusual.
Indeed.
And honestly, I'm not really sure about the origin story of the red ghost, but it is definitely something that is out there. And now this is an interesting thing. The banshee.
Yes.
You know that the banshee is tied to Ireland.
That's my understanding.
Primarily. And basically, when they sing, it's considered a harbinger of tragedy or death. But I don't know if you know this or not. Recently, in the past couple of centuries, there have been sightings of banshee in the North American continent, specifically in the bayous of the southeast.
Okay, so when you say recently, is that because people from Ireland have come to America, saw or heard something that reminded them of banshee and just called it banshee? Or do you think banshee has made its way across the pond, so to speak?
I think it's a combination of both, because another theory that I have is that sometimes spirits will tie themselves to a family.
Okay.
Or, an individual.
Sure.
And if that person were to relocate, then that spirit would go with them.
Gotcha.
So it is possible that a banshee followed the family that they are tied to, or a person, and then when that person died, they just stayed over there. That's a theory that I have anyway.
That's a sound theory if you are into all of the spiritualness of ghosts and banshees and stuff. Anyway.
So what was the specific question again?
The specific question is, what's the relationship between cryptids and ghosts?
Oh, okay. Well, I guess the simplest answer to that is it's complicated.
Sure. I mean, if you're going with your specific definition of cryptid, then ghosts fit right into it.
Oh, yeah. Like I said earlier, I believe all ghosts are cryptids, although not necessarily all cryptids are ghosts.
Well, I just meant that a cryptid being something that people know of, but there's no proof of.
Right,
situation.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
You got the idea.
Yeah, basically.
All right. Well, before we move on, I did want to mention one more thing. There are stories about ghosts that are not humanoid. Stories about ghost trains, ghost ships.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of different ghost vehicles where someone will see something and then go back to look for it and it's not there.
Sure.
Specifically, the one I wanted to mention is there's a type of ghost car that apparently will be driving straight at you.
Yeah.
And then not actually be there. And apparently they've caused fatal accidents in the past.
I assume, yeah.
Yeah.
That's horrific.
So, yeah, I mean, ghost is a pretty wide category.
Sure.
Not as wide as spectral, but I mean, there's really not a whole lot more to say about that, I guess, right
That's
now.
fine.
So it looks like you've got another question there.
Actually, I've got a couple, but we'll just do this one today, I think.
Okay. Yeah, we're already more than 15 minutes in. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
So this one is from Bite Brewmaster. Pronouns weren't listed. Question for ya. Do you think the skunk ape is Florida's version of Bigfoot or something way weirder?
That's an odd name. Where did you get this question?
Actually, it was a comment on one of our YouTube videos that we put out. So it's probably just like Cryptid Remarks. If I left a comment in somebody else's thing, it would say Cryptid Remarks.
Oh, okay. So they didn't leave a post-it note this time.
They did not leave a post-it note this time. Thank you very much.
Oh, well,
Bite
hey.
Brewmaster.
Awesome. Yes, please do that. Follow the Bite Brewmaster's example. Yeah.
There you
All
go.
right. So, okay, skunk apes.
Skunk apes.
Right.
Are they Bigfoot?
Well, not exactly. Now,
Okay.
I've talked about skunk apes once before, but it was very early on.
Indeed.
And I don't think you were there.
I was not. I did hear the episode though, and I took a little time to get all of the buffalo sauce out of various and sundry things in my house.
Yeah,
but
I'm sorry about that. That was not my fault.
I totally understand.
Right. Well, anyway, they're in the same family as Bigfoot or Sasquatch or, however you want to refer to them as. They're a little bit smaller than many of them. I don't know if it's just because the warm, wet climate or what, but they're usually only about 5 to 7 feet tall. And they usually have kind of a reddish brown fur.
Okay.
And again, it's kind of hard to tell if that is their natural fur color or because they're coated in swamp.
Swamp.
Yeah.
Generally things coated in swamp are not red.
Well, it depends on the swamp. If there's a lot of clay in the area,
Sure.
it could be red. But I'm also thinking that might be part of why they are so commonly associated with having a really foul odor.
It's because they're covered in swamp.
Yeah, because they say it kind of smells like sulfur and wet dog.
Okay.
And in fact, back in
Rotten
2020,
eggs and wet dog.
yeah, exactly. And back in 2020, they were actually used by the social distancing advocates for the COVID-19.
They said just treat everybody like they were a skunk ape, or how do you mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, I barely remember that. That was like, what, 5 years ago now? Something
Yes,
like that?
it was.
Yeah. Oh, man. Time just seems to fly by after so long, Every year seems to go by faster than the last.
Indeed.
Yeah. So anyway, skunk apes mostly are known for being in Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. Again, usually in the swampier areas, sometimes in the forests. Once you get into Mississippi and Louisiana, a little further east, that's kind of more of the Honey Island swamp monster territory.
Oh.
Yes. 1818, there was a local newspaper that was talking about monkeys raiding food stores and stalking fishermen. And that kind of covers both areas from what I understand.
Stalking fish.
Yeah. And the Seminole and the Miccosukee, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, culture has stories about foul-smelling, physically powerful things called Esti Kapkaki, which means furry tall man or hairy giant, something
Gotcha.
like that. Yeah.
So, not being familiar with apes in North America, they wouldn't know to call it an ape. So.
Right,
Gotcha.
exactly.
That makes sense.
And while the term skunk ape didn't come around until the 1970s, there have been a couple of sightings. In 1929, there was a bat tower that was built called the Perky Bat Tower. It was down by the Florida Keys.
Okay.
And shortly after it went up, there was a sighting of something that definitely fit the descriptions of modern skunk apes that came in and it shook the tower and drove off the bats and then left.
Wow, that was rude.
A little rude, yeah, I'll admit. And that goes through, the sightings of them go through the 40s and 70s of the 1900s, 20th century. And they got the term the Bardeen Booger.
The what?
The Bardeen Booger.
Okay, where's Bardeen?
I don't
Somewhere.
know.
Yeah.
It's somewhere.
So-
I mean,
Sorry, go ahead.
the term
Why?
booger in this case not meaning what you think. It's
No,
just
it'd be somebody that is just
well,
causing problems.
it's a term for
A complicated
mildly
situation.
malevolent
Yeah.
spirit.
Oh.
Not unlike a haint, which is also a term that's used a lot for spirits in the American Southeast, yes. Yeah. So the skunk ape, like I said, the term came around in the 1970s, and most of the sightings of skunk apes are tied to the raiding of food stores.
Okay, why?
Well, because there are just a lot of stories about that. There was in the Everglades in July of 1997, there was a man named David Shealy who said that they were raiding these lima bean stands that were set up as bait for different things, and they would steal the lima beans and then just leave.
Okay.
Because the trap wasn't set for skunk apes.
Yeah,
but
something that big, I assume.
Exactly. And in fact, and I think I mentioned this earlier, there was actually a bill that was going to be introduced to Congress in Florida that would make it illegal to take, possess, harm, or molest anthropoids or humanoid animals.
Okay. And that didn't pass?
I don't think it even made it up to a vote. I'm
gotcha.
guessing people just didn't take it very seriously.
Yeah, because, I mean, at that point, they're probably just thinking monkeys, and they're like, there's no Florida monkeys, so they just let it go.
Well, no monkeys that are native to Florida. You know how humans have their...
pets?
Well, yeah, and their predilection to take animals from where they belong to where they don't belong, and maybe affecting the ecosystem a little bit.
Moving them 4 feet to the left.
I mean, when there's an animal in your way, I think that's acceptable as long as you don't harm them.
Sorry, there was a comedian, and I don't remember the name of the comedian who was, and this was a long time ago when there was a zoologist named Steve Irwin in Australia, and she said that
the crocodile guy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She said it was so irritating that he's the most well-known Australian when all he does is just go out and pester animals and move them 4 feet to the left, and that just stuck with me.
Well, at least he was nice about it.
Indeed. At least he wasn't, pestering them too much.
Yeah. But David Shealy, who I mentioned before, is probably one of the biggest skunk ape proponents and advocates. Mm-hmm. He's got a research headquarters down in Okeechobee, Florida. Mm. So, yeah, feel free to look him up. Don't pester him and say that I sent you or anything like that.
Don't go to his house and put Post-it notes on his door.
Yeah, please don't do that. Why are people doing that? I don't understand.
I don't know how they find anybody.
Oh, yeah.
The internet's an amazing place.
But yeah, skunk apes are part of the Bigfoot family or the Sasquatch family. Let's call it the Sasquatch family.
Okay.
They're not a big fan of the term Bigfoot, but I mean, I know a lot of people recognize that term, so it's hard not to use it.
Sure.
But
it's like the difference between calling deers, well, no, that wouldn't be, because you'd have bucks and does, and then you'd have deers. Never mind, it's fine. I withdraw the question, or the statement.
Okay.
You actually just cut this whole part out.
No, I'm not going to do that, because that was very amusing to listen to you do that. But
sure.
Yeah, we can save the rest of these questions for another time. We've got another one from Bite Brewmaster.
No, that's true.
And a couple other ones, so we'll look at those later. Anyway, if you're listening on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe.
And leave any comments you'd like.
If you have questions, leave comments there. That's one of the easiest places to do that. Although, if you do want to make things hard on yourself, you can go to cryptidremarks@gmail.com and leave a question there. Mm-hmm. Or head over to our Discord off of our website at cryptidremarks.com. We're on Blue Sky at profedjeffers.bsky.social. We're on Instagram. We have a Facebook group still. Am I forgetting anything?
Not that I know of. You pretty much hit all the highlights.
Okay. Well, I guess we're done then for today.
Still haven't worked on that salutatory.
Well, I mean, I've got a lot to do. It's not like
we all do.
Yeah,
but, you know what, everybody, have a great day.
I mean, that's fine. Yeah, have a great day. You've been listening to Cryptid Remarks. The part of Professor Edward Jeffers was played by Jeffrey Morton. The part of Wilma Chronicle was played by Kimberly Morton. All music was written by Ruben Fansler. Sound editing by Jeffrey Morton and Ruben Fansler. Our web guru is Aaron Milosic. If you have any questions you would like us to cover, contact us at cryptidremarks@gmail.com or link to our Discord through cryptidremarks.com. Thank you for listening. And don't worry, I probably don't exist either.